We wanted Pastor Miller to share his side of the story, and oh boy, did he ever share.
I saw it coming for years. I told them for years this would happen over, and I said if she gets off her medicine, is the next thing.
We can prove basically everything he said wasn't true.
Did the Francis family just lose any shot they had of suing John Paul? This is the question, because nobody's talking about what Anna said on NeesNation. So welcome to the point. Let's get to it.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Obviously, I'm not trying to make the case John Paul's a saint or he's the greatest person on the planet. We've heard numerous allegations from the Francis family and Regina Ward, ranging from grooming, abuse to injections and harassment. Regina Ward even said this specifically.
My conversations with Mica whenever she was alive tell me that she was brainwashed by this man. He abused her in every possible way that there is.
And if fair coverage and an open conversation is something you prefer, subscribe to this channel and hit that like button down below. Because John Paul's insisted he's done none of this. And if you look at his alleged odd behavior after his wife passing, like him being seen out with another woman, and those borderline bizarre TikTok videos he made that are now deleted, and even stuff like this.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I've ever put on a Spider-Man costume.
It's honestly caused a lot of people to come at me sideways, saying how could I not publicly condemn this guy? They'll say that he's a liar, and he even proves it right here.
Well, I've never done illegal drugs my whole life. Okay. Well, crap, that was a lie. I'm sorry, that was a lie.
I'll be addressing that bit in a minute, like the whole that was a lie, because it wasn't the only one.
And I'll get the comments with people saying John Paul should be in jail. But remember, Regina said this.
In fact, we were going to try to start seeking a civil action attorney to consult with to see if some of the documents that we have found, or not found, but that Mica left in my care, as well as her family also had found, there seems to me that there could be a civil action, not against the police. The police, under the circumstances, responded, I think, appropriately under what was happening at the time.
But this is how an open conversation works. These are, at the end of the day, some big allegations from the Francis family. These are the type of allegations that make you wonder, how is John Paul not arrested yet? Because he hasn't been charged with anything. But the family holds him responsible for what happened to Mica. And I do 100% believe that the pain Mica was experiencing was real pain. Mental or not, that pain was real. And South Carolina needs to address the holes in their laws so we can prevent something like this from happening in the future. But where did Anna potentially mess up? The narrative from John Paul's point of view, generally speaking of course, is essentially Mica was fine when she was with him. She was happy when she was with him. She didn't have to worry about a single thing when she was with him. And she took her medicine. But obviously, if it was all roses and sunshine, they wouldn't have been going through a divorce to begin with. And that's where the Francis family comes in, generally saying that Mica wasn't sick until she met JP. In fact, they say after she left John Paul, she was happy, she was optimistic, she was making plans for the future. Anna even said this.
She wanted to run a charity, and she wanted to go to Africa and do all that, and I said, wow, amazing, good for you. Like, that's awesome. I'm not as good a person as you, basically. Like, you have great aspirations for your life, everything you do.
But in this story, both sides say they have proof the other side is lying. Both sides say they have text messages proving what they're saying is true. So let's take out everything we can and boil this down a little bit. Let's remove John Paul's animated interviewing style and the Francis family's pain. Is this story not basically John Paul saying Mica needed her medicine, and if she didn't get it, what happened would happen? And the Francis family saying no, she was fine before him. Of course, if you see it differently, you can let me know down in the comments below. But if you look at the average age, illnesses like this pop up. Don't they start to pop up and show between the earlies to mid-20s? And wouldn't that place the time of her to start to show symptoms around the time she got with John Paul? And here's the statement that threw me off, because while John Paul is giving interviews saying she needed her medicine or this would happen, Anna said this.
She, if asking for that letter, why would he just lie and just say he did all these things to get her back on medication? She had been off of that medication for months.
Now, I'm not saying it proves all these other allegations are false. We all know Mica was hurting, and not having to work or having to clean doesn't mean that somebody is a perfect person. But if John Paul is saying if she didn't get this, that would happen, and the Francis family is saying she was off that medicine and this happened, doesn't that aspect of the conversation mean John Paul was right? Now, don't rip my head off. I fully acknowledge I'm probably the only one on this platform not full-on bus driving this guy. But if the foundation of some of these allegations are the text messages that Mica sent to her family or to John Paul, how valid would those text messages be in court if it's proven she had some type of issue? Of course, if the Francis family can get up there and provide documents that her doctor says she could get off this stuff, then okay, it's not a valid point. And John Paul at that moment would be proven wrong. But why has this question not come up? Has anybody interviewing the Francis family asked this question? Have they said, John Paul says she needed her medicine or this would happen? You said no, but she was off that medicine and this happened. So was John Paul right? If we're looking at this overall story fair, that does seem to be a valid question. Once again, I'm not making the case that John Paul's a saint. I'm not making the case that everything the Francis family is saying is a lie either. But if you've heard somebody ask that family that question, let me know down in the comments below. Because it's the truth that matters in this story. We know for a fact that that state has holes in its laws that need to be addressed. We know it's a fact that both John Paul and the Francis family say they have proof to back up their side of the story. And we know that when two sides say they have proof to back up their opposite stories, that would then mean that listening openly to all sides is the best policy. If and when this thing goes to court, we will get the truth. The focus of this story, in my own opinion, should be fixing these holes in the laws, so this doesn't happen to somebody else. To those of y'all who haven't rage quit this channel yet, I appreciate you being open-minded and wanting to hear more fair coverage. The reality is we just don't know what we don't know. All we know is two sides are saying they have proof to back up what they say is the truth. And those two truths conflict with each other. Everything said here is just alleged at the end of the day. Please do your own research and form your own opinion. But even after all these interviews, we still have way more questions than answers. Y'all be safe now.